Today we're going to have a quick look at the Bluebird because I rather like watching in-depth sort of overviews of people's aircraft, etc. So it might be interesting for you to look at the boat. Let's go and do that now. Boom! Let's just get it out here. What we'll do is start with the power systems and all of that lot, and then I'll take you into more about the construction of the hull and everything. Starting at the front of Bluebird, there's this piece here which is the hatch for the receiver and battery. There's obviously no battery in there at the moment, but there's no receiver either because I've decided to use it in another project. So I use a Spectrum setup. I had a Spectrum receiver in here, and then I also had, I can't remember what the battery is. I might just go and get it actually. Sorry about the mess in here. It was one of these, which is a 1000 milliamp hour 4-cell. I got from Hobby King, I believe. Back downstairs we go. So yes, that's what went in there. Now moving on to the motor itself, the EDF unit. This is a Dr. Mad Thrust 3000 kV 70mm, yep, 70mm fan. It's made of an alloy. So it's full metal, pretty much. Behind all of this, the motor casing, which holds the motor into the fan unit, that's all metal as well. Here's just the angle from the back. So I'm not sure if you can see, but that is the back of the motor. And inside there, you can see that there's a few cables which come, or the wires, sorry, which come down from the motor down into the floor here of this tube, and then underneath here basically is where the electronic speed controller, the ESC, is, which is buried underneath here, right down under the hull here. Yeah, so the ESC in there is I can't really remember, I think it's a 70 or an 80 amp ESC, and that basically does the job for the 70mm fan in the 3000 kV fan. Basically, that's the power systems. Now let's go on to the construction of this hull itself, which was probably the downfall in the end, but what can we do? Starting at the front, we can see from this hatch actually, basically this is just a piece of foam board, which, yeah, it's not really an ideal material to build boats out of. This is because it's not waterproof. You may have seen my video on waterproofing foam boards, which I thought, you know, I'd figured out how to do it, and it will work with just resisting water, but for something which is going to be sitting in water for long periods of time, it's, yeah, the water always wins. The foam board was waterproofed with something called Valspar, I think it's Valspar or something like that. It's this stuff here that I did the video on. So I basically did all the construction of it, and then painted it and then treated it. And my process of that was to fill in all of the areas with a sort of glue. To fill in all of the cracks in the hull, basically, with a kind of glue. So that was used as a filler. So that would stop leaks, and then you'd put over this spray varnish which would completely seal everything. The main hull itself is made out of a composite of foam board pieces and then also cladding of cardboard and different sort of thicknesses of this card. And you can see from this piece here, if I position it into the light, you can see that this is all sort of warped here, which is because the water did actually find its way into the inside. And because these materials are not waterproof on the inside, it meant that catastrophically it leaked. And that's what caused the ESC problems in the end. You can see also that these bits here, which were the points on which Bluebird sort of raised up onto and skimmed across the water on, these were made out of cardboard, and they also, there's some water that leaked in underneath here, which then from the inside sort of, I want to say rotted it, but obviously it didn't rot it, but it just made it structurally unsound. So when it was put back on a hard surface on the top of this box or whatever, it sort of crushed them, which is why they're now flat, which is not really ideal. Quickly showing you some of the modifications that were made to Bluebird. After the unsuccessful first test run, I decided to add some water deflectors, which I forgot to show in the video. Sorry about that. So I'm showing them now. These are curved pieces of transparent plastic, which I cut up from, I think it was a Coke bottle or something, and then just simply stuck to the inside. And this was done so that when the boat was going along and the water would hit this post here, the support, the water would not be launched vertically upwards and then sucked into the intake, which is what it was doing on its first test run. In addition to these deflectors, I also added these smaller ones down here, which are again made from the same material as this, from a Coke bottle. When the water would hit this, instead of just hitting a 90 degrees block, it would go over this sort of airfoil shape and help the boat to lift up out of the water and to start skimming along, which was the whole point of this hydroplane. So yes, that is why it was so much better in the second test run. One part that I forgot to mention was the rudder, which was, again, a pretty terrible part of this design. I literally just glued the rudder onto this servo control horn here, and that just wasn't good enough. It just kept, because it was stuck down below the bottom of this boat, I kept just knocking it off when I put it on the floor, or I forgot it was there, so it was just such a pain. It was a bit of a bodge job in the first place, so I'm glad it worked as well as it did, really. So that is it for the Bluebird. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, if you'd like to see more, then probably the best thing to do is to visit my website, which there'll be a link in the description and the name of it here. Plans for this Bluebird, basically it's just going to stay exactly how it is. I'm never going to run it again, I don't think. I'm going to try and keep it as a you know, in as good condition as I can, because most of these things, you know, they wear out eventually, and I don't want to just chuck it away. It's a good memory of a nice holiday in the Lake District. So I will be making a new boat though. That's going to be next summer. It's going to use better construction techniques. It's going to be fiberglassed, made of wood. It's going to be great. It's going to be pretty much a completely different design to this. Yeah, look forward to that, even though it's ages away. If you like this video, give it a like, obviously. Subscribe if you're not already, and I will catch you next time when we do something else. Probably flying or making something. See you next time.